And welcome to Clean Water Conversations, the podcast where we have casual conversations about creating clean and clear waterways right here in Lancaster County. I'm Ken.
Hey, everybody, it's Allison.
Hey, Allison, we are back with episode 2, talking with Kelly Snavely and Keith Williams of Lancaster Conservancy about Lancaster Water Week, which incidentally is June 7th through the 15th.
And there's a whole lot going on during that week, so we've had to split this podcast conversation into 2. We could have done even more, but we want to make sure that everybody gets that information because there's a lot of events. There's still some that have availability, so make sure you get your registration in soon. And then also there's this thing called the Clean Water Fund. So we talk about taking action. Water Week inspires a lot of action, but sometimes we need dollars. Sometimes we need resources to make those happen. So a reminder to everyone as well about the Clean Water Fund, which is at the Lancaster County Community Foundation, and that is action project money. So applying by the July deadline is how you're going to get there. So check it out for more details on the website. And a huge thank you to our event sponsor, the High Foundation. They are our presenting sponsor for 2024 Lancaster Water Week.
Lots of information, lots of fascinating stories about the behind the scenes of Water Week. There's a lot of that this week. And let's hit it.
You've mentioned a number of different partners and kind of that behind the scenes or the prep role that they play. I know that in the last 2 years, especially this year, you guys have really shifted that, how the hub functions for your team. And I think that's also a really empowering piece of Water Week. It's part of that growth in year 8. But can you explain some of the way that it's been operationalized?
Well, and just, for everyone to kind of get a sense of it, as Keith was sharing too earlier, the Conservancy does not put on 60 events. What we do is we serve as kind of the bringing together of collaborative partnerships, right? So we bring together a fantastic leadership committee on which many of our fellow partners and sponsors will sit, and they'll help us steer the direction and the theme of Water Week. And in the past, the Conservancy, in addition to doing all the marketing, right? Like we put together the materials, we put together the advertisements to get the word out. We put together these larger kind of capstone collaborative events. And that's the bulk of the work that we do during the week, as well as putting on a bunch of our own events, the website, social media, billboards, T-shirts, the large public art displays, right? Beer, yes. So we do that big kind of marketing awareness push, and we're doing all the registration pages too. So, we were kind of capped at about 25, 30 events, right? Like there's just only so many registration pages that we can manage in the course of 1 week. And we hit this point where I was like, I think in order to keep growing, because we felt the tug, we felt the number of partners who wanted to be involved growing, and we said, okay, we have to let go of managing all those registration pages. And so we were able to create a system and a way for all of those partners who wanted to be involved to host their own registration pages. We meet with each of those partners and event hosts one-on-one, talk through the logistics with them, best practices, and just make sure that they feel supported. We give them a Water Week event kit, so they can have all the great materials that they need in order to be successful. And, then we bring all those various registration pages back onto our website, back into our brochure, and we get those out to the community over the course of May as we lead into June. And it's, I think it's really helped us grow the variety of partners that can be involved, in addition to the number of partners that can be involved. And I think it's also, we're still seeing this happen. It's going to help us bring in I hate to say it, but non-traditional, audiences to the clean water movement and conservation. People who don't see themselves as part of the conservation movement. And I think that's a misnomer. So I say that like non-traditional audiences to the conservation movement because they're really doing the work. They really already are conservationists. They just don't see themselves as conservationists. Right. And so I think in doing this, hopefully we'll get more and more partners who aren't your traditional environmental nonprofits involved. And that will just help us continue to grow that awareness. And again, the magic happens at the intersection of partners that might not seem like they're, in the same boat. And I think that's, again, where the power of Water Week, is to transform our community and our waterways.
Well, you all have done that in such a way that empowers so many different groups. Like you said, the diversity of partners that are in leadership roles now, that's huge. You're adding to the capacity and the leadership skills of those organizations so that they can continue to do that in other ways. So I think that handoff and the support that you've given them through that process with a tool like Water Week is huge. And that expands the work of everybody doing this year round, not just 1 week of the year, but continuing to show and be proud of that conservation ethic that they might have, or the way that they've integrated clean water into their work, where they may not, you're right, they may not have thought that they could or should do that. And now they know how. And so I applaud you for the way that the process that you've used to do that for other partner organizations. I think it also helps us explore whose table are we not at.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And how can we take this to them? That was something that Adam Ortiz shared with us recently about where do we need to go in order to bring this message or to bring the ask, bring the opportunity, not just saying inviting people to our table, but we need to go to them.
Yes, yes. And we definitely, I'll be the first to admit, we're still in that process.
Always,
right?
yeah.
Always.
We're always
in
learning.
that process. And I think we have so much more opportunity to, just your point, make sure that we are not just saying, oh, hopefully people will come out who, to these events that we have made in a certain style and way and, come to us, right? I think it's so much about going to our whole community and saying, what can we do together? What do you want to see? How can we be present with you and make a difference in a way that makes sense for you? And what do you really care about, right? I think that's so much of the point as well. We can say, look over here, care about this, but it's more important that we listen and
point.
better understand, what is it that each member of our community cares about when it relates to, this incredible resource that we all have.
You guys do such a great job, Keith. I'm picturing you at Climbers Run and events of where you make it less scary. I mean, some people may actually be scared of or have allergies to bees, and so they don't go outside. But some of it, to your earlier point, that they just don't feel comfortable, haven't done it traditionally. So how do you, I guess, mentally prepare to pitch Water Week as part of that way to connect people?
Recognizing I don't know what I don't know.
Okay.
And really, the Community Action Partnership has really been a great partner of ours.
Okay.
And we've been working with their Young Families program and selecting preserves that, to me, Climbers Run is home. So it's very familiar.
Yeah.
And I never thought of any kind of barrier to people who don't typically go outside to be present at Climbers Run. It's got a paved driveway that goes right in. And the folks that we're working with at Community Action Partnerships, like, our families would get to the end of the driveway and say, no, that's not good for us.
Yep.
And then I realized why. And so all of a sudden, learning what the real and or perceived barriers are has been a huge help. And I'm just learning that, right? So once we identify them, then we can overcome them. Then we can figure out a way around them or through them. And so really, I guess, to your question about mentally preparing for that, it's really just kind of looking at nature through somebody else's lens. Not mine.
Yeah.
Right. I've been outside my whole life.
Yeah.
So sure, it's easy. Other people, not so much. And so it's just a really good reminder, no assumptions.
Yes.
No assumptions.
Right?
Yes.
K-N-O-W.
Yep.
Or N-O for the first one, and K-N-O-W for the second one. Right. Know what assumptions you bring to the table, but try to leave them behind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that.
When I had a team of educators that used to frustrate me, that some of my educators get frustrated when kids get off the bus with a disposable water bottle. Like, what are you doing, man? So they're eating a Lunchable. You're going to get upset about the lunch. You got to meet people. You got to meet your kids where they are, right?
Yeah.
To be an effective educator. So you got to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
If folks are afraid of bees, that's okay. They freak me out too, right?
Yep.
I just appreciate them from a distance.
There you go. Yep.
And that, to me, that's an opportunity for education. If I have somebody that's freaked out about something, it's got their attention. That's 50% of the battle right there. Let's talk about what that is.
Yeah. So who do you hope is new to Water Week this year?
Everybody. No, I mean, really, I say that flippant, but really, I mean, we want Water Week to be accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I'm really excited about the partnership with Lancaster Public Library.
Yeah.
I think that,
Yep.
I mean, the library itself is a resource to the community, and I'm excited that they're, kind of taking on Water Week, as a theme in several different ways, Keith, right?
Yes, selecting some books for a reading list. They've got a book club that is going to do a book leading up to Water Week that'll culminate in a hike. And that just does, access a whole new part of the community that typically hasn't participated. We really want a wide net, like everybody. Conestoga River Club has just done such a great job with the LGBTQ plus Pride Float.
Yeah.
How great is that?
One of the ways that people can take action is by sponsoring a project or leading their own action for a community, for a house of worship that they're with, for their municipality. The Clean Water Fund is hosted at the Lancaster County Community Foundation, and it's a way that people can apply for dollars to do those projects. That's been a part of Lancaster Water Week for many, many years. So really excited about that as a tool for ways for people to take action after. Are there things that you guys have seen as a success from those that new applicants could learn from?
Well, I think just even kind of going back a little bit and just, one of the things that I think attracts corporate support to Water Week, which is what allows Water Week to happen, is that a percentage of dollars from those sponsorships then get reinvested in the Clean Water Fund, which is hosted at the Lancaster County Community Foundation. And I think that's really important to our sponsors, and they see the impact. And I think they see the impact not only of that, like shovel-ready projects that are able to be funded through the Clean Water Fund, but they see the general awareness that's brought by Water Week. And I think it's the collaborations of so many different organizations and the year-round impact that extends past just the 1 week of Water Week that I think is truly what brings out so many incredible different, companies, organizations, and corporate support to Water Week. We're really fortunate this year to have the High Foundation supporting Lancaster Water Week as our presenting sponsor. And it just, you really get the sense that it just aligns with the values of the work that they're doing, for our community, to invest in our community. And that investment through Water Week really just resonates with them. And I think the Clean Water Fund helps perpetuate that investment all year long, right?
Oh, great example.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's contagious. Like you were talking about Landis Homes and how that's inspired work in other communities like Willow Valley. And the Willow Valley work is growing.
Yep.
Highs is a good example.
Yes, them too.
2 Water Weeks ago at Greenfield, it's a 600-acre property that Highs manages. We did a stream investigation. I forget the name of the stream that goes
Stout for Run.
It's
one of our stream delisting catchments.
Which, as I'm looking at that, it's got lawn going right to the edge of it.
Yeah.
And so before I got in the creek to look at the benthic macroinvertebrates, almost said benthic macros. I'm thinking, the visual assessment is not a positive one. It looks eutrophic. It looks hot. There's no shade. Man, we found, pretty high quality stream. We found mayflies, no stonies, but we found mayflies, caddisflies. Certainly not the class of organisms that I expected to find based on the site. And the leadership from Highs was so excited by what we found there.
Yeah.
That now their landscape crew is getting trained in how to do ecological landscaping.
Yep.
Right? And how to put that stream buffer in using native plants and things like that. And so now we have one of the largest developers in the region who manages a 600-acre property at Greenfield that is interested in doing native plantings for stormwater management and control on that 600-acre property that's then going to inform the rest of their operation potentially.
That's awesome.
Right? And so it's just incredible to watch these. I'm getting kind of goosebumps thinking about that 600-acre property and how that could potentially manage for native habitat and water quality management.
And that's only one of over 100 that they manage.
Right,
so
exactly.
there's such a
it's
big
the
reach.
Beginning, and not entirely, but part of that simply came from flipping over a couple of rocks in the creek.
Yep.
Right.
But to your point, the network, Kelly, you talked about how so many people are connected and the way that the collaborative effort shows up differently for each of them or resonates differently for each of them. I love that example of started by flipping over some rocks and then word spreads and you hear about something else that somebody else did and it inspires you for more. And so you get the dollars, you get the people in place, you get the trainers. It's this network of success here.
Yeah, and that's probably one of my favorite parts of Water Week is just going out and making those connections with our fellow partners who are hosting events, or with the participants or the volunteers. Like, that's, for me, the most exciting part of Water Week, is having those conversations, hearing what is lighting them up, hearing about the projects that they're working on, and being able to connect them. Even, standing around at Longs Park, listening to fantastic music coming from the amphitheater while we hand out hundreds of free native trees to all these concert goers, and help make the connection between, hey, did you know that this free native tree that we're going to hand you could help clean up our streams and rivers, while also helping support habitat and thriving wildlife in our community? I mean, it's incredible to watch the excitement grow in their eye, and then to point them to some of the other incredible environmental partners who are tabling alongside us, like the City of Lancaster or Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Lands for Chesapeake Bay, Stroud Water Research Center. I think Lex Wama joined us last year. To have this resource, this library, right, of connections for these different individuals to make and to just deepen their knowledge. I think it's those conversations that we can have, while listening to great music and talking about free native trees and shrubs, that just start something for people who are both new to what Water Week is and what this clean water movement is, or who have been a part of it for a long time. And I think for me too, that the folks who have been a part of it for a long time, we cannot forget them, because they have been through the trenches, and I think, and hopefully Water Week gives them a bit of a rejuvenation of their spirit, re-energizes them to kind of keep tackling this work, which isn't always fun. It's challenging and tough, and you hit roadblocks. And I just hope for 1 week during the year we can celebrate them and lift up their voices and just the amazing work that they do.
Where do you see Water Week evolving eventually?
I want to come back to the theme of this year's Water Week, which is rewilding for clean water. And we have put a lot of focus on the habitat aspect and the amazing action step of creating habitat this year. Because Water Week, our action steps, we have three. Create habitat, our number one action step. Protect water, and, get outside. And those are three important action steps, right? But the first one, create habitat, is what we're focused on this year. And it's really thanks to an incredible partnership with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and their Keystone 10 Million Tree Partnership that we're able to give away trees. Also, Octoraro Native Plant Nursery has been really helpful in providing trees and shrubs to this effort. And, that talking point, being able to walk up to someone and be able to start a conversation with, would you like a free native tree or shrub, is a great entry point to someone who is walking down the street in Lancaster City or at the Chickies Creek Watershed Expo. and you're able to make this connection for them. But, as we look ahead to future years, I think one thing that we recognize that we need to kind of start putting a little bit more emphasis on, and I have to say Todd Roy with the Conestoga River Club has done a great job of this, which is just access to our waterways. That's that final kind of get outside action step that we have. And we as a land trust, right, Keith and I work with the Lancaster Conservancy. We're an over 50-year-old land trust. And what makes us unique as a land trust is that we have publicly accessible land and over 50 miles of trails, across Lancaster and York counties. And we recognize that in order for someone to care about conservation, to want to help our environment, and want to help clean up our streams and rivers, we can't just start there, like come out and pick up trash along the river.
Right, yeah.
They have to start by falling in love with it first, right? Like we can't ask people to protect what they don't love.
Sure.
And that starts with just getting them out to enjoy it. And access to our waterways is unfortunately challenging for many. There's perceived barriers. There's the actual physical barriers of being able to get out. I mean, getting a kayak, right? Buying a kayak is an expensive undertaking. Having the ability, the time, the resources to get onto our waterways is not, a universally accessible thing for most folks. Yeah. And we need to start there with just helping people access these beautiful waterways, whether it's going for a hike at Climbers Run Nature Center, hopefully by end of next year, one of our universally accessible trails that will ensure everyone can get to the water at Climbers Run, no matter what mobility they have, or, be able to access the water at some of the incredible access points along the Conestoga River that the Conestoga River Club is working on. That, I think, might become more and more of our point, because the folks who aren't coming out to Water Week right now don't even recognize that we have these amazing resources. And it's, I feel like, a responsibility of all of us who know about these resources to help share them with the community.
It is now time to continue our round of Water Week trivia. We are picking up where we left off in the last episode. On Tuesday, June 11th, Stroud Water Research Center is hosting an educational session called Healthy Streams from an Ecosystem Lens. You already answered this question. How many miles of streams run through Lancaster County?
1,400 miles of streams.
It is 1,400 miles of streams. On Wednesday, June 12th, the Chickies Creek Watershed Alliance will host their annual expo at the Mannheim Farm Show Complex. The name of the creek comes from the Lenape-Chickasaw language, meaning what?
I don't know.
Your favorite little critter that likes to swim backwards.
Oh, a crayfish.
Huh. It is Place of the Crayfish.
Oh,
yeah.
Place of the Crayfish. Ooh.
Nice. On Thursday, June 13th, the Center City Orchestra will play a concert in Greenfield Park. Now, Greenfield Park boasts a 12-foot tall wooden statue carved from the trunk of a white oak tree of what historic Pennsylvanian?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I can picture it in my mind, but it's not clear.
William Penn?
It is William Penn. Yeah, it was carved in 2011 by Dean Fox. It was a tree that was coming down, and the stump was left there. So
it's pretty cool.
Yes,
amazing.
Talk about art being employed in the county there. On Friday, June 14th, Sickman's Mill is hosting Water Week Trivia Night.
Mm-hmm. Ken, you're going to go there for
I
content,
will be there
you?
for sure. Yes, yeah, that's a great place to get it. What man, probably the first well-known trivia creator, authored a book called Champs and Chumps, which was later renamed to, believe it or not,
Ripley.
You got it, Robert A. Ripley.
Done, Keith.
Nice. He's pulled that out of somewhere. He worked it out.
Believe it or not.
On Saturday, June 15th, the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay and various other partners will be hosting Project Clean Communities. In 2019, Project Clean Stream brought in approximately how many pounds of trash with more than 50,000 volunteers across thousands of cleanup sites?
Oh, man, this is a tough one.
The total amount, yeah.
Yeah, the Alliance has such a great job through this program. I don't want to undercount it. I'm stumped. It's got to be a huge number.
It is a huge number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50,000 pounds.
It's 2.5 million pounds.
Wow, that's amazing work. Wow, that's impressive. That's fantastic.
The sad thing is that there was all that trash there in the first place, but yeah, they really did some good stuff. So those are just a couple of the events, or 60 plus events going on during Water Week, which is June 7th through the 15th. A complete schedule of the events is up at lancasterwaterweek.org. There we go. That's our show. Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Water Week is going to be awesome. Really looking forward to it. And we will be back in just a couple of weeks. Until then, take care.
Thanks, all.
Clean Water Conversations is brought to you by Lancaster Clean Water Partners. If you have comments or suggestions on the show topics, please contact us at info@lancastercleanwaterpartners.com. Thank you for listening.